Hey guys, welcome to the Powerful Man Show, where we help married businessmen save their marriages without having to talk about it, get unstuck, and gain clarity in their lives. As I like to say, life is too short for average. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Now let's get this started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Tim Matthews, with my co-host, Mr. Arthur Magulianiti.
Hey, guys. Hey, Tim. How are we doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Isn't it cool to think right now there's an alpha reset going on? It's day 2. Doug gave me a quick message this morning in which he touched ever so briefly on day 1. And he said it went really well. He said day 1 went really well. He said day 2, there's a couple of guys still lurking in the background. We know how day 2 goes. So for those of you that don't know, the listeners, so the Alpha Reset is a transformational event that we do here at the Powerful Man, which kind of ties into the topic that we'll get into in a minute around mission and purpose. Hundreds of guys have been through it by this point. I don't know how many hundreds, but definitely hundreds. And to say that we cap it at 9 men, well, we've had up to 11, right? We don't really go beyond that. So we like to keep the groups very small and intimate so we can make sure the men get the attention they need in order to create the result. Everything we do at TPM is all about getting the result. Arthur, you're smiling because obviously, you know, the Alpha Reset, you're one of the key leaders of it. I think you've just delivered one a couple of weeks ago. You delivered quite a few this year, actually. I think you've got some more lined up. Yeah, it holds dear to all of our hearts, right?
Yeah, I love it. You know, the work that the guys do on those 3 days is just amazing. The transformation that happens is just like, you know, we've done a few of these now, and we should be used to seeing the results that these guys get. And every time it's just like, oh wow, oh my God, you know, and yeah, it's just the most amazing place to be on the end of that. During the whole process, of course, and just to see them shift. But at the end of that, just to see their faces coming out on the back end of those 3 days is just like amazing.
Yeah, I wrote a post actually a couple of months ago. And I think, if I recall correctly, at that point, we'd done about 40 alpha resets over the past few years. Obviously, with COVID, that put a stop to it for a couple of years. Yeah. So yeah, it's... you would think after 40 plus you get used to it, but you just don't. It's incredible. Everyone's slightly unique, or very unique rather.
Yeah, and I think you just get carried away with the difference in their journeys. You know, similar issues, obviously similar stuff, but everyone's got their own story, and every story is different. And so you just get really, you know, caught up with all of their stories and the individual journeys. And and each Alpha Reset is so unique because the energy that the guys bring is so unique, and so like every toy is different. Every toy is different, and it really depends. And it's a bit of a surprise to see what energy lands at that Alpha Reset. You know, sometimes it's, you know, humorous. You know, sometimes it's very serious, and but that's half the fun. You know, it's just like, what do you get to play with? Yeah, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's dive into the topic. You brought a great topic to the table. Do you want to tell the listeners why you wanted to talk about this topic?
Yeah, I you know, the topic about mission, purpose, even mastery, I guess, comes up to this, is that quite a few guys that we're working with at the moment are, you know, have been really successful in their businesses. They've made a bit of money, or a lot of money. They might be, you know, in their 40s, 45s now, maybe getting onto the 50s. And there seems to be a shift in their focus, and not in the sense of like that they have a rumbling about, it's not about more money, it's not about another business, and it kind of confuses them, because for most guys all they chase is money, certainty, business, significance, and suddenly that is no longer motivated for them. It doesn't hit the same buttons that it used to. And it confuses them, because obviously they know how they've been showing up the last couple of years, and suddenly that's not ticking the boxes. So what's going on? You know, it's interesting to note, and I'll take this back to the human needs that we talk about, you know, the 6 human needs. And just for the guys out there, 6 human needs are significance and certainty, right? It's love and connection. It's uncertainty. It's growth, and it's contribution. Okay. Now, most guys, when they set up, and let me not make this about just the guys. I think, it's across the board. But most people go out and chase significance and certainty. Significance is like, look at what I've achieved. It's a little bit of the ego. It's the outside in. It's the validation. Look at me. I've done this. Certainty is, I've got the money, so now I'm safe. Because there's the belief that many have that, with money, then I'm safe. Then I'm, things are secure. We know that's not true, right? However, that's what many people chase. And those kind of needs are outside in, right? Those kind of needs are needs of the personality, of the ego. However, they don't really satisfy you because you're always chasing something outside of you. Now, if you go to the other side of the equation, then we've got contribution, we've got growth, we've got love and connection. Now, this is the area that most of these guys tend to have to start looking into in order to fill that gap that they're now feeling later on in their careers, later on in their lives, because more money doesn't cut it anymore. Okay, you got the house, you got the car, you maybe even got the boat. Now, where are you going to spend your money? It doesn't hit the same areas. And so they get to start looking at what would, and contribution, growth, love and connection, those are all inside out, right? All inside out. And if you get those three right, you start getting significance and certainty as well. But you get it from the right place and not from the head or the ego, right? If you're really good at what you're doing and you're contributing to the people around you, you get significance, but it's the real type of significance. It's the natural, it's the authentic type. You get the certainty because you know that you can help people. They know that you're there for them. You're connecting with them through love. So it changes the ballpark and you get everything you want, right? And back to mission, when we see the guys who have created success in their lives outside, right? Now it really starts meaning more for them to go and do things for the more altruistic reasons, taking their expertise and going out and making an impact to people, not for the money, but for the contribution. And the more they contribute, the more fulfilled they feel. And so a lot of the work we're doing with this range of guys is really about making that transition from more mission-based work. And so we start talking about, and I'm going off on a tangent here, Tim, so just tell me to shut up. So then we start looking at what could, we go from a career focus to a mission focus, and then it's like, how do you go out and create impact for people out there based on the experience that you've created over the years, on the learnings that you have, on the skills that you've developed, taking that out. And where mission is for people outside of you, we also talk about purpose, which is all about you. What do you love to do? What is your purpose as far as your life? So, my purpose may be like, I just want to become the best I can possibly. Learn as much as I can, show up as powerfully as I can, and create the most amazing life that I can. All right, that's all about me, and my family, I guess. All right, so that could be my purpose. My mission is, how do I take that and benefit others outside of myself? And once we got those two things dialed in, then the world is your oyster, because you can go out there and just contribute, and to the degree you contribute, I think that gives you rise to absolute fulfillment, something that money could never touch.
Beautiful. Yeah, we see it a lot with the men, right? They reach this point, especially when they go through the Alpha Reset. This isn't a plug for the Alpha Reset, but just one of the fastest ways for the men to really take off the veil and realize what truly matters to them, right? And in doing so, they come out of it, and not only do they see a huge shift in themselves, but also the other men in the room. They begin to see life very differently, and it begins to get very clear to them what's important to them, hence mission and purpose. I mean, yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, but obviously we've got a position open within the movement for a client success account manager. So it's basically somebody who nurtures a relationship with the men as they move through the process and the movement. And I just shared it in our private community workplace. It's got about 1,000 or so men in there that are all in the programs. And tons of men raised their hand wanting to find out more. We've got lots of people on the team that have left their businesses, left what they were doing because they wanted to get involved in something that created more meaningful impact in the world. And I think it's inevitable, right? We all reach a point in our life where we begin to question things. Am I doing the right thing? do I really want to make money this way? Or we can often feel a bit of a slave to money, trapped by the business. The business creates more feelings of being trapped than feelings of freedom, or even feelings of emptiness than abundance for some guys, right? Because earning money in a very hollow, empty way that doesn't mean anything for them. Maybe even selling a product or doing something that is harmful to the world in some way, right? So usually this transition catches up with all of us, if not all of us, definitely catches up with the right kind of guys, right? The guys that have the right kind of ethics, guys that we would call powerful men, quite frankly.
Yeah. And I think the more you're in this conversation, like the guys in this movement, the more they realize there's more out there for them. And what they're chasing is just that deeper level of fulfillment. Yeah. Much deeper than just satisfaction, much deeper than just like success. It's actually fulfillment. And that's a deep, deep, deep feeling. And most of our guys are actually look for that. They move towards that, which is great because it's a testament to the kind of guys we have and we attract here. And, I think that's the natural conclusion or progression, should I say, of guys on the path of self-growth. It's just like, okay, I've taken care of myself. Now, who else can I help? Who else can I take along on this journey? And where they take what they learn here or what the experience that they have and go out there and help other guys do the same or other people do the same. That's the direction many of these guys are starting to take now and are starting to look at. And it's great because we need more people out there to do great things to improve this world,
Start to transcend what money can buy, right? In the beginning, they're so focused on passing on what money can buy, be it possessions, be it money in a bank account, whatever it may be. And as they go through the journey, they begin to realize it's more about what you can pass on that money can't buy. The values, the lessons, how your life can serve as a lesson, right? We speak a lot at the Alpha Reset about, would your life be a warning or an example, right? Something to avoid or something to model. I think a lot of these men really make that transition in wanting to create a life of meaning, something that means something to them while they're still here, but also something that really provides an example of how to live to their kids or whoever matters to them by them being able to look at how they lived and what they created and such. It's a beautiful, beautiful transition for the men to be in. So let's say we've got some listeners resonating with this idea, right? They can realize they've kind of been stuck on the hamster wheel of hustle. They've made money, but they feel kind of trapped by the business. They're craving something more. They can feel as though they want more meaning in their life. Something's lacking and missing. This idea of mission and purpose really calls to them. What can they do to get clearer on their mission and purpose?
Well, one is to get clear on the understanding of what is purpose, what is mission. Your purpose is like, why are you here on this world at the moment, right? What inspires you? What brings you purpose? What brings you passion? What are you passionate about? And then how can you take all of that to help other people? Now, helping other people can be as simple, and not that I would recommend it, is just sending a check to a charity. Yeah. But obviously there's no real connection there. It's just lobbing something over the fence. But how can you bring your skills, your experience to help other people? And maybe, if you're great at business, you can go train youngsters in business, that's your contribution. And you don't do it for money necessarily. I mean, you could get paid, and depending on the circumstances, I'm not saying that we're ruling that out, but you're not doing it for that purpose. That would be a bonus. You're doing it because you want to go out there and help others. So, how many different ways can you find to help others, to give? It could be walking in and buying coffee for the next 10 people at the local Starbucks by, dropping some money. That's contribution. It could be, there's 100 things you could do to contribute. But if we're talking about mission specifically, is like, okay, having experienced everything you have in your life, right? What part of that can you take out to help others? Is it a segment of people that you'd love to, that you're really passionate about? Kids, guys, women, old people, young people, veterans, right? That you can actually go out there and use your skills, your experience, your level of financial ability to help those individuals to get them a result faster than maybe they would have, to create systems, to create practices, to create support for them in a way that perhaps isn't there at the moment. and help them get to their goals sooner than later.
Beautiful. I love it. Any final words?
Yeah, I think start contributing today, right? And the question to ask yourself is, where can I contribute outside of myself? All too often we focus on ourselves, and that's actually the source of depression, because we start focusing inwards, right? But the reality is, once we start focusing outwards to help other people, strangely enough, that depression usually lifts, that confusion, that frustration about ourselves usually lifts. And so where can you contribute today? Who can you impact today positively? Could be a smile on the tube, to someone. It could be, like I say, the coffee in the Starbucks. It could be that you go volunteer some time at a local shelter. What fills you up? What do you think? What interests you? But go start doing it today. Don't wait for one day. Start doing it today.
I love that. Yeah, if you're anything like the men in the movement, then this will be an itch that you have been avoiding scratching.
Yeah.
And what you are going to get back in return for contributing today, or even surrendering to the idea that you are going to find out what your purpose and mission is, it will fill your life in ways that you don't even realize. We spoke in the last episode around the art of receiving. You combine this with the art of receiving as well, not to make it about yourself by any means, but the levels of fulfillment, to Arthur's point, that you'll have in your life, the levels of freedom, and it's freedom that money can't buy. Because typically wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So if you're avoiding scratching that itch, you're going to take that with you, whether you're on the yacht, the private plane, a Disney cruise, wherever it may be, right? You are going to take yourself with you. So when you give yourself permission and scratch that itch, you're going to get bounties of benefits that you're not even aware of. It's going to do wonders for your mental health. It's going to do wonders for your emotional health, for your spiritual health, for your self-esteem, for your self-image, and you're just going to feel free. So until next time, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. Mr. Magoo, thank you very much, brother, for your wisdom and your time, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Powerful Man Show.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. But as I always say, in the moment of insight, take massive action. You see, there are two types of men that listen to a podcast like this. Those that go on from one podcast or show to another, just hoping things are going to change and realizing that they're going to be in the same place month after month, year after year. You see, I was this guy, so I completely get it. You may just not be ready. But there's also a second man that listens to a show just like this. And this is a guy who takes massive action so they can shorten the learning curve, compress time, and get results to be the wolf. See, wolf is an acronym for wise, open, loving, and fierce. Now, ask yourself, which one am I? And just be honest with yourself there. And there's no judgment on my end, but if you're ready to move from deactivated deer mode, which is defend, excuse, explain, react, to activated wolf, wise, open, loving, and fierce, then go over to thepowerfulman.com/grow and go there now. In fact, I'll make it super easy for you. I will even put the link right in the description here, so you can just click it and go over there now to learn more. Guys, in the moment of insight, take massive action. Go from deactivated to activated, because like I said, life is too short for average. And I'll see you on the next episode.